In this video, you're going to discover how a new real estate agent sold over 100 homes in his second year. Stay tuned. Hey there, my name is Ian.Flannigan, and I help real estate agents sell more houses and build wealth with their real estate license. And if this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn more about how to grow, scale, and expand your business, be sure to tap subscribe and hit that little bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. And honestly, we have agents and brokers reaching out to us from all over the US and Canada to learn more about how EXP can really grow and expand their business, and we absolutely love it. So if you'd like more information, be sure to reach out to me, give me a phone call, shoot me a text message, send over an email, however you want to communicate. I look forward to having a business conversation with you soon. Now let's dive right into this. This is an incredible interview that I did with Spencer Mcduffie, a second-year real estate agent that's going to sell over 100 homes in his second year. That is absolutely incredible. Spencer is here in my market in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He's actually one of my team members, and it's just incredible what he's accomplished in just a very short period of time. So I hope you enjoy the interview. So Spencer, welcome to the call, man. How are you?
Oh, what's going on, Ian, man? I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Man, just another day in Texas. Here we got people from all over the country here on the call with us. These are, EXP agents. Some are new to the company. Some have been in the company a while. But yeah, hey, thanks for taking your time out of the day. I know you're busy. So let's get right after it, man. So tell us a little bit about Spencer and how you got into real estate.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Ian, man. I really appreciate it. It's good to see some of you guys on the call that I've met before, and nice to meet the people who I haven't met so far. So I was an accountant before I got into real estate, and I was working at HKS Architects. I was working at Lennar Homes doing the corporate accounting thing. Did that for about 5 years or so. Eventually started going to work on my CPA and get my Master's of Accounting degree from UTD there in Dallas. And after a while, just decided that it wasn't for me. I flipped my first house, which is really how I started to kind of get into the grind of real estate. I was exposed to my first pair of real estate agents who helped me sell my first home in Tampa. I saw that they actually made more money on their commissions than I made on my first flip, and I was like, "Yep, time to change the game. Time to switch it up." So ended up getting my course from Kaplan while I was still living in Florida to be studying in Texas. Moved back and got licensed, passed the test on the first time, and then just hit the ground running. I studied a lot on Tom Ferry's site and the different podcasts that are out there for people to listen to on Stitcher and things like that. Real Estate Rock Stars, GSD Mode, some of these other different podcasts about becoming a great listing agent and great real estate agent. And that's how I really got my knowledge well before I actually got the license. I really knew what I was going to do well before I got into the business, just from listening to other people do it.
Well, explain that. I mean, think about that. There's so much information online. There's so much free information from mega producers, top producers, real estate coaches. What do you think the disconnect is between someone like yourself versus people because I'm sure you see people struggle in real estate. And I mean, what is that? What was so different for you that when I see other people struggle just to sell homes?
I mean, I don't know, man, to be 100% honest. I think a lot of people don't take the time to really research what they're getting into. I think they feel like they know what they need to do or what they're going to do just intrinsically from what they've heard about being in real estate and things like that. Or they have an idea of what being in real estate is about. And instead of taking the time to really learn and listen to what other people are telling them to do that have already been successful, they're trying to reinvent the wheel. I really didn't do that. So I'm not sure why people don't do it, to be 100% honest. Maybe I think the Trek courses will help them do it. But ultimately, I listened to a bunch of different podcasts. And while I was working in that accounting job, I had 8 hours a day to sit there and not talk to anybody and just put my headphones in and just work. So it was a good opportunity to just grind it out. All I did was listen to the podcast about how to sell 100 homes in your first year as a real estate agent. Those were my types of episodes. That's all I listened to. So I was already practicing my scripts with expireds. I was already practicing my script with FSBOs. I hired a coach from Tom Ferry the day I got my license, and we hit the ground running. There was no time for drama.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your day. I know when we were discussing you jumping on this call, you made the comment that this was cutting into your prospecting time. And so I respect your time, and I just really respect you because I've been in real estate a long time and been in a lot of different niches and seen a lot of, different people and different stories. But, I was telling the guys earlier and our folks, ladies and gentlemen here, that I call those agents like bulldog mentality. Like you like
Yeah.
latch on to something and you just don't let go and you get after it. So tell us, what does your prospecting schedule look like weekly?
It's pretty regimented. This week hasn't been my best week, but it's usually it's pretty regimented. I wake up in the morning. I'm working a few different lead sources. I'm definitely prospecting for at least 4 hours a day, from about 8 to noon, with my lead follow-up in there too. And sometimes I go even more. I mean, if I don't have any appointments, I pretty much prospect from 8 to noon, take a lunch, work on some business deals and make sure everything's going smooth. And then by about 2 o'clock, I'm back on the phone. Sometimes it's late until like 8 o'clock or so. So the whole day, if I don't have appointments, is really just a prospecting day. When I do have appointments, it's 8 to 12, and then I'm prepping for the appointments after 12. In that 8 to 12 time frame, I'm usually doing a few different things that I've learned can be very beneficial and have a good effect. I'll do obviously my for sale by owners and expireds. I feel like that's the super low hanging fruit. That's the bottom of the funnel stuff. The people who are ready to sell today. I feel like that was why it was very easy for me, or not easy, but at least I had a good strategy in place to get going quickly when I got into real estate, because my coach encouraged me to spend all my time going after the now business. And he said, until we get your business going, we don't need to be thinking about the top of the funnel, longer term stuff like farming, for example, that takes a year to get going. We need to get leads that want to list their house today. So I spent my first 2 years basically doing that and built up a big business very quickly. So expires for sell by owners. I've got some internet leads that I pay for that I will call. I've come up with something where I always do. I call it Facebook birthdays. I always send out birthday messages on Facebook as much as I can remember to do it. Every morning I just do DMs and happy birthday, man. How you been? Kind of like sphere prospecting, people you haven't talked to in quite a while. Internet leads like Z-Buyer. We have a market leader leads that we've signed up for. But in the beginning, when I was just getting going, it was just all outbound prospecting, expireds and FSBOs pretty much, and maybe a little bit of referrals from people around town who know me.
Yeah. So yeah, man, you've quickly started to remove yourself from a lot of that legwork. So talk a little bit about kind of, what you've done as far as building your team and how you're strategizing to really grow into 100 sales. Because I know you're one of those guys, right? We see the scoreboard with the people that sell houses at eXp Realty, right? 1,000
Yeah.
houses a year and all that. And I know you got some big goals. So talk a little
Right.
bit about that, kind of where you are and what your goals are and how you're going to position and build your team and your business to go over 500 homes a year.
So the team is a whole new thing for me. It's been something that's been pretty new. It's strictly come out of just being so busy. I'm getting to the point where I'm wasting a lot of leads, especially buyer leads, that I'm not actively focusing on. So I made the decision to like bring on a buyer's agent. But even before that, it was all about the admin and the systems and processes. Again, because I'm really a big podcasting guy, and I hear these people for the past 2 years or so, or even 3, talking about systems and processes and systems and processes. And this is what the big good agents talk about outside of lead gen. They talk about systems and processes. So really, it came down from hiring my first full-time assistant, hiring my first transaction coordinator, and then eventually getting so deep into this game of how can we make the systems better and build a scalable and sustainable business that doesn't have to have us involved in it. That's where we started looking at hiring buyer's agents, but it's still very new. I still have a lot to learn in this. It's only really been about 2 to 3 weeks since I've had my first full-time assistant who's not working any other jobs, and my first buyer's agent. So it's still very new. But I would say the plan is to, really start a team with a coaching mentality and share with people the exact strategies and tips, and tricks that I use to generate business. It's not, I don't want to build a team where we're buying a bunch of leads for agents. I really want to teach agents how to just go out and hunt and kill their own dinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I see that as a big difference between the successful agents and the people that continue to struggle over the years. Is right, the old saying, you can teach someone, you can either give somebody a fish or you can teach them how to fish. But yeah, I mean, you have that hunter mentality, right? You're going to get after it. So
and Ian and Connor and Chris and some of these other guys know that we're also investors too. So I've got a separate business plan where I'm trying to stack money and put it into real estate, and build that passive cash flow. That's the end all be all goal for me, is to eventually not be in production, and having a team that kind of stays in production is not super important to me right now either, to be honest.
yeah, and that's a great thing about just being in real estate. There's so many different ways to do it. But yeah, so here's something I wanted to bring up because this is new to you as well, right? So I want to congratulate you on hitting icon status, right? So
Thank you.
talk a little bit about that, and kind of let us know, what's that experience been like so far.
And it's crazy, man. I mean, the June icon list came out, and me and my girlfriend were sitting on the patio having some drinks, and we looked at it, and she was like, "Well, how come you're not on the list?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't think I'm anywhere near. I mean, you got to be a mega producer to be on that list. I don't even think I'm close to it." It's so funny. Like 2 days later, they send out the July icon list, and I'm on it, and I'm like, "Oh, holy shit! I done made the icon list." And so we
Yeah,
looked up the production, and I'm like, "Yeah, we've done what they said we have to do." So overall, I still don't know that much about it because I really had the impression that it was not anything I was ever going to get. I didn't even know what the requirements were.
yeah.
So it was just kind of a cool surprise. It was very flattering. I felt very proud of myself for what we have been able to accomplish and everything. But other than that, I'm not really sure because we haven't even been awarded it yet. It's this month that they're going to send the awards out.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, think about that. You're gonna get $16,000 back in company stock. Like
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
huge asset, right?
Yeah. I'm good with that, man. I'm happy to get my cat back,
Yeah, that's great. Well, Chris says congratulations. John says congratulations. Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
an interesting one. So
Yeah.
so let me ask you this. So they're going to ask you to come back into the cloud and do a training. And if you have Spencer's training, what's it going to be? What's going to be your message back to agents?
My message, man, is always going to be a simple one so far until I learn more about the business. It's always going to be about lead gen. It's always going to be about follow up. And it's just always, I mean, that's really what it's going to be about. I mean, if there's one single thing I had to attribute my day to, or my success to so far, it's going to be having a solid schedule that's disciplined around income producing activities. Trying not to get bogged down in the paperwork and the admin tasks. Lead gen, follow up, and scripting and dialogue is really big for me. My new agents that I brought on right now, I've got them mostly working on like DMing their sphere on Facebook, getting used to having conversations and practicing their listing appointment daily and practicing their expired and FSBO scripts daily, as well as like internet buyer leads daily. Because to me, it's really, really important that you need to be able to have the conversations that we have in real estate seamlessly until you can eventually get off the scripts, but you need to know the basic concepts of what the scripts teach, in my opinion. And for me, learning scripts and a basic sales process that's taught through coaching organizations like Mike Ferry and Tom Ferry was like monumentally game changer for me. And so I feel like sometimes we assume people know this basic sales stuff, but unless you came from sales, how would you know it?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And that's where a lot of people, I think, struggle right out of the gate is, real estate is very sexy. It is very attractive. But once you get in, right, it's just like you just said, it's a sales business. You got to have systems and processes and a whole nother kind of aspect to actually generate the warm business to get out there, write agreements and close that business.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Overcoming those objections, commission objections, FSBO objections, it's
oh,
constant.
that's like
But it's
getting,
so,
go
huh?
ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say it's so worth it, man. We spent all this time doing these objection handlers. I just went on an appointment with a FSBO the other day, and it was just objection after objection after objection. And I'm just like you said, just pit bull, face to face with this guy for like an hour and a half, standing up. We didn't even have chairs, and I got my laptop open on his countertop, and I'm just objection handling, objection handling, objection handling. We eventually closed that thing. Literally put it on the market the next day, full price offer on it the next day, under contract the same day, and it literally all it took was making one call, setting an appointment, going head to head with them for about an hour and a half, closing them down, and then here we are getting paid, like closing it multiple offers the first day. Like it's so ridiculous.
So talk a little bit about that, right? I mean, so what type of things was he throwing at you? What was his biggest objection? Because I'm sure he kept kind of repeating himself, right?
Different objections installs. I'll hey man, it sounds good. I think give me 2 weeks, and then the weekend it's going to be busy, and we're going to have some better traffic this weekend. And if I could sell it, I'd be really interested in that. And it's just coming up with ways to make him feel comfortable with what we're doing and kind of pushing the train forward. And then not. So in a situation like that, basically, I just told him, hey, look, you want to sell your house for 2 weeks. You want 2 more weeks to try to sell the house, right? Why don't we go ahead and sign the agreement? I'll write in a BYOB clause, which is something I came up with called bring your own buyer.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a 2-week time frame for BYOB. You bring your own buyer. If you successfully, get your own buyer in in this time period that we've agreed to, you don't owe me anything. The listing agreement's 100% null and void. And so he was like, no, that sounds great. I'll definitely do that.
That's the secret sauce right there.
Yeah.
So you guys hear that? That's the golden nugget you spent 30 minutes to get right there. That's great.
He was like, dude, that sounds great. And then my strategy is I called him after the first weekend because we made it a little bit longer than I really wanted to. Called him after the first weekend. Hey, did you sell the house? And he was like, nah, it was kind of a slow weekend. I was like, well, we're ready to rock and roll. We can get photos today and have it on the market tomorrow. Do you still want this extra time? And he was like, nah, I'm ready to pull the trigger. And so we got the house on the market, 3 offers on the first day it hit the market, and we sold it. So, or it hasn't sold yet, but under contract,
Yeah. So, I mean, think about that. So that's what a lot of consumers, they don't understand just how powerful the MLS is, right? I mean, just spending the time setting up the right photos, the right marketing. And then when you first put that property on the market, I mean, especially with our system, it's kicked out the thousands of websites.
Right.
So was the price or the fees, what was one of the things that was his biggest objection, right? Was it the amount
it's always the fees. With the FSBOs, it's always the fees. Yeah. And with the expireds, it's usually always the price and not the commissions. So they're kind of different objections. But I'll say overall, from my perspective, I'm sure you guys are probably even past where you even do this expired FSBO thing anymore. But the expired presentations, in my opinion, are some of the easiest in the world. I mean, because these guys are already committed to working with an agent. They already know that they chose the wrong agent, and now they just need a better agent who's better at pricing, knows the market better, and will take better care of them. Big one is big communication. They just want better service. Yeah. FSBOs, they just want a cheap fee. And with FSBOs, I don't go in there and try to hammer them over the head with 6-7% commissions like sometimes I do with expireds. The highest expired I've done is 7.5% commission, but FSBOs, it's normally 4% is normally what I kind of kick around with. And a simple approach that I take is, hey, when you sell this home with a buyer agent, you did say you're open to paying a 3% commission, right? And they'll say, yeah, if you have a buyer, I'll pay you 3%. And then I basically just go in saying, hey, for just marginally more percentage, this is what you can get. And I try to take them from 3 to 4 and then split that between 2 and 2. If that makes sense. It's a pretty easy approach. I mean, it's not that difficult, but the FSBOs are much more stubborn, in my opinion, than the expireds are.
Yeah, because they want to sell it themselves. They want to, squeeze every penny out of it, but they have no idea how to mass market the property or even get it out there. Right. Same thing that I see in my market, right? The photos, it just blows my mind how terrible agents put photos up on the web. It literally just staggers me. And then the pricing of it, right? If it's marketed properly right out of the gate, you should, especially in hot markets like we're in, shouldn't have any problem selling. So those are some great golden nuggets, man. So I'm gonna we're gonna do a hard stop in about 10 minutes, but I want to fire off some rapid questions. And just so you guys know, like I didn't send Spencer any of these questions, so he doesn't know what I'm about to ask him. Yeah, so we're gonna do just quick questions, and man, just whatever comes to mind, just kind of give me an answer. So do you have a strict morning routine, and what's your favorite part about it?
I do have a strict morning routine, and the favorite thing about it is when you do it, you make a lot of money, and when you don't do it, you don't make any money normally, or you're not in control of your goals and destiny. It's kind of how I look at it. So that 8 to 12 prospecting, that is a strict morning routine. Only time I'll usually break that is if I'm like super dog tired, just because I've been grinding super hard, which happens sometimes, or I've got listing appointments, which is very rare that I'll set a listing appointment from 8 to 12. But if I have to, I will. And the goal is definitely to take it, if I do that. But prospecting 8 to 12, Facebook birthdays, expireds, FSBOs, internet lead follow-up, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that to me is the most important thing. And if you don't do that, from 8 to 12, in my opinion, then we didn't even really work that day. We just serviced the business that we already had, which doesn't count to me as working, because we do that all day, Saturday, Sunday evening. We're doing that, taking calls and right.
That's a huge nugget right there. So as a part of that morning routine, so do you do that 5 days a week?
Yeah, typically I'm doing that 5 days a week, and then on the weekends we're normally doing open houses. Gotcha. So this weekend, we've got three open houses set up this weekend on Saturday and Sunday.
Gotcha. All right. So what's the best business, either book, audio, or podcast that you've consumed recently?
Oh, man, the best business, I would say, man, that's a really tough one. I love Gary Keller's book, to be honest, Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I've listened to it maybe 5 or 6 times because it is kind of hard to sink your teeth into the first time you hear it. I don't really actually read on paper much, but my favorite podcast by far is the Real Estate Agent or Real Estate Rockstar Real Estate Agents or something like that. Real Estate Rockstars with Pat Hyben. That one is just gold. I mean, that's what I really sunk my teeth into as I was getting going before I was licensed. He provides so much value in that podcast, and then I also like investment podcasts like Bigger Pockets as well. Talk
Yeah.
more about investing than being a real estate agent. I also love Grant Cardone. All I do is listen to podcasts. I love Gary Vee when it comes to social media stuff, putting out your content. Like, so I'm a big podcaster guy, maybe not as much a big book guy, but if you're looking for a great book, I read Can't Hurt Me, which is written by David Goggins. And that book is not about business, but it's about life and discipline. And it's a military guy. And that thing was just mind-blowingly amazing.
So
and it's more of a discipline book.
So you're able to kind of tie in that discipline with your real estate business prospecting. And
right.
So that's what I'm kind of getting from it. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So here's another one, man. What's the best kind of technology hack that you've been using in your business?
Google Calendar. Google Calendar, G Suite in general. I really like Google Calendar. I really like Google Sheets on a shared Google Doc because I track all my deals there. I've got all my coming soons, my pendings, my listing appointments taken, listing appointments set, buyers that are currently looking, all my pending deals, closed deals. Like, it's super simple. It's basically just a portable spreadsheet, but I'm not a big technology guy. If I was going to go a little bit better than that, I guess, to give some people some good nuggets, I would say RedX is a really powerful one for me. That's where I usually start my my prospecting every day, is in RedX, doing my lead follow-up. And that's a system, the data that pulls the data from the MLS to give you the numbers for the expired listings and for sale by owners. So that's a good one. It's not an amazing system. It's very simple. But again, I'm not a very like techie guy. So like KV Core and stuff like that is a little bit harder for me to kind of wrap my head around sometimes.
Yeah. And that's another thing too. There's so many shiny objects in real estate. So talk a little bit more about that RedX. So, I mean, I've never used it myself, but I mean, also, so do you do circle prospecting? You're pulling as much data out of that. Is that a tool that you use in your business that you can't work without?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I could get a substitute for it, but like to totally remove the concept of that software from my business, it would be devastating. I would never be as good as I am right now, or I'd have to do something totally different. I've used Mojo Dialer and I've used RedX, and they're very similar. RedX just has a little cleaner interface, but essentially it pulls the data in. I don't do circle prospecting anymore. I've done it like a couple of times here and there, but I feel like a great lesson that I learned from being very new in the business to now is that we have a lot better results when we're more targeted and we're more focused on the types of leads we're going for. And circle prospecting is just super generic. I mean, you're just hitting neighbors, you're just hitting random people. So I try to get more targeted than that with the expireds and the FSBOs and maybe even for rent by owners and things like that. But yeah, I would say, man, it's an amazing system. It's not anything that's like super complex. It doesn't even have that many features to it, but all you really need is just the numbers. You can call straight out of the system. You can have a triple or double line dialer. You can take notes and you can set a follow-up. And typically that's enough. We're also using systems like BombBomb integrated with G Suite. Anytime before I go on a listing appointment, I go in and I do a pre-listing package via email, and I'll tell them, hey, I'm going to send you this when I do the pre-qual call. And I always do a BombBomb call. And I do that for two reasons. One, because I'm in rural Texas and I'm a minority. So if there's any like backwoods hicks out there that don't want to meet me in person, I want them to know that, that I'm a minority before I get there. And that's a much smaller portion of it. But I do like that. They know who they're meeting, you know what I mean, beforehand. But second, it also sets us apart very, very big. I've seen people say like, oh my gosh, you sent me a video. Like, this is crazy. You're on top of it. I'm going with you. So BombBomb's really good too.
Yeah, so that's a great little hack there that you're doing, right? That's so when you set these appointments, you're sending them pre-listing information and then a personalized video directly to them to reconfirm the appointment and all that. So
Absolutely.
there's another nugget right there, guys. So do you have any specific closing gifts that you give to your clients? Is there something that is kind of unique to you?
I don't really do closing gifts, to be honest. I was going to closing all the time. We would always take a photo and stuff. I would do some gift cards and stuff like that before, but it's something that we're getting more and more into because my clients are starting to buy them for me, and I feel bad that I'm not getting them anything. So we're we're looking at adding some closing gifts in. That's something that my assistant's job is, to make sure we have closing gifts.
Yeah, well, here's one that I just recently did on one of my clients. Is me and my wife love this Cutco cutlery, but there's this one knife that's a big wide spreader that's got teeth on it, and we use it every single day. So I went and bought a bunch of them, and that's what I've been using for my closing gifts. So it's something that we love. So
yeah. Are y'all still going to close? Are you still going to closings? You send it to their door?
It depends on who they are.
Right.
Right. If I really connect with somebody, right, and I'll do it. But then again, I closed another deal with an investor, and she was a nightmare, so I didn't go to that closing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they closed a lot of ours down for COVID. So I used to go to closings. That was like my big thing. I love going to closings. I would never miss one. But now it's like I almost never go to them because they don't want us there.
Yeah. We were actually out in the car sitting in the AC, and they brought the docs out, signed them all, and then they came back and grabbed them. All right, man. Right. So here's another question for you. We're getting close to wrapping this up. What's the best piece of business advice that you've ever received?
Man, something that I always say all the time, I don't know, it's hard to answer these kind of questions on the spot, but something that I tell people all the time is Warren Buffett says it best when he says invest in what you know. I think he keeps it very simple in his strategy, and I get some of these agents. There was an agent recently trying to recruit me to JPAR, and then on top of them trying to recruit me into JPAR, they wanted to recruit me into Forex trading. And I'm like, dude, like, what the hell am I going to do with Forex trading? Like, I'm so busy. I'm supposed to go learn an entire new career, to make a side hustle. So I think a lot of people want to do a lot of different things. And, as real estate agents, like, I don't believe in necessarily investing in the stock market and investing in all these different things that you can do of both time or money. I think it makes the most sense to invest in what you know, or what will be the easiest for you to learn the next thing you need to know, which for us is clearly real estate. I mean, why would I go try to learn about stock? In my opinion, I'm sure other people do stock, but I try to stick with what I know. And when I see a $15,000 house, like actually what we're closing on today, that I bought a $15,000 house that's worth about 150 to 160 rehabbed, I'm like, I know this. I don't need to be scared or worried about this. Like, this is a great deal. I'll write the check right now. Yeah. So I think that's a really good tip, is to not get distracted, not get keep the blinders on, and stick with what you know. And if you know stocks, then great. But that stuff's more complicated than I'm willing to get into.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I'll give you one more question here, and this, and then we'll get on with it. So, what would you want other agents and brokers to know about EXP that they just don't have no clue about?
Man, that's a hard one, man. I would probably just keep it basic and just say all the different perks and benefits. I mean, a lot of the local people don't realize that we're publicly traded. We get discounted stock. We've got health insurance. I mean, the whole pitch and the wow that EXP has. A lot of people can't earn their stock backs. They don't get any passive cash flow. They're not getting any of those type of benefits there. And if they are, they're usually pretty small. So I would say, just, I don't know, look into the company and compare your compensation plan side by side and really see if you're getting a good deal or not.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. So, man, that was rapid fire. It's actually 9:45 on the dot. I want to stick to that commitment. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So, Spencer, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you had perfect analogy there, being a bulldog and you got the dogs barking in the background. So
sorry about that. Yeah, I got them put inside.
Oh, that's all right. Well, hey, man, I'm going to click end. We're going to get out of here. And until next time, guys, I want to thank you.
Hey, great to meet all you guys. Thanks for watching.